Should we just to start? Should we
You're the
I'm
host.
trying to think if you should look into the camera at all. No, because we're just talking.
Yeah. I mean, if it's just natural.
I'm trying to think when I'm doing your introduction specifically.
You could talk into the camera.
Yeah, that'd probably make more sense. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, so today we have Danny Pacella. Dan is from Montreal, Quebec. He's someone who epitomizes dedication. He's a servant leader. He's a winner, and he's a good friend of mine. He also played at and plays at Vermont Green FC of the USL2, which is in the 4th division of the U.S. soccer pyramid. And he now plays for San Diego State, which competes in the NCAA Division I. He also previously captained UVM Soccer, another NCAA Division I team, where he played for 4 years and led the team to their best ever finish in 2022 with a number 4 national ranking. And Danny also runs an audio guestbook service called the Phone MTL and does personal training for young athletes in Chittenden County. So thank you, Danny, for joining us.
That's a good intro, bro. For your first ever time, that's actually a good intro.
Thank you, bro. But yeah, no, I think this is going to be really fun. So
It is. Like I told you before, I love podcasts. And I've only been on one other one. It was a Zoom one, and it was, like you're talking to people that you never met, so it's weird. So
yeah,
I think talking to you is going to be better. It's going to allow me to open up a little bit more and actually talk about stuff that I would want to talk to and not talk about, and not just about, I played at CF Montreal, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah, no, I want to like, that's one thing I even thought about, like, doing the intro was, I wanted to introduce you first to, like you're a person first.
Yeah.
And then, like, you also play soccer. That's, like, your main thing, of course, but, so I want to we'll obviously talk a lot about soccer, but it'd be great if we could talk about, like, other stuff, and you can, like, really, really get into it. But yeah, so what did you get into today?
Was, we had that game yesterday, the exhibition game against Superstar.
Yeah, how was that?
It was fun to watch. I was in Rossage, so it was a good time to watch.
Did you watch with the Green Mountain Boys?
I did, but they weren't like singing and dancing. So me and Yaniv, who was a striker for Vermont Green, we went to stand with them a little bit, but they weren't singing or anything. So we just went into the box, and because it was hot, sun was beaming, so we went in the box and we watched the game there with the other boys. But bro, for an exhibition game, they sold like 2,000 tickets, which is crazy.
I saw one of the videos on Instagram. I think it was like Aiden, who I met before, scored, and like the crowd was like, it was loud.
Yeah, for an exhibition game, it's wild that they're able to do that.
Yeah, and for everyone listening, Green Mountain Boys is the supporters group for the team I mentioned, Vermont Green FC, which again competes in USL2 and plays at Virtue Field, which is the home stadium of the University of Vermont team, which Danny was the captain of. But yeah, what was the score for the
4-0.
4-0?
Yeah.
Was it like a good game at all?
It was an entertaining game, but like Juba Star, they had like good players. Like some of the players were actually like
they do have
gifted,
some ballers. Yeah.
like they're ballers. But bro, it wasn't. They're not as structured as we are. Obviously, we train every day. I don't know what their training is like. I don't know what kind of coaching they get, but like you could tell that weren't structured, and that was obviously the reason why we won 4-0.
How did any of the former Vermont Green players now in Superstar, did they put any of them play really well, or was it just kind of like?
There was, I don't know, to be honest. I know the guy Diallo.
Oh yeah, he's good.
I didn't know which one was him, but they were saying like, oh, he's like a few times we were like, oh, is it this guy? Like, he looks really good.
Yeah.
So, I'm guessing he was the one that we were mentioning.
That's
there was
awesome.
also this super like pacey kid, like a light skinned kid on the wing.
Yeah.
who had like curly hair. He was super fast, bro. Like, bro, incredibly fast. He was good.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it. I completely forgot that it was happening. But yeah, let's jump into some college soccer stuff. And my first question would be, what is your best memory in college soccer?
Probably, it's like it's not a cop out, but it's the UCLA game that we played in the Sweet 16 of the 2022 NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy, bro.
That was crazy.
Like, I don't know if UVM ever hosted a game that far into the tournament, but
well, describe like how that game kind of happened and like a little bit about the atmosphere and also like obviously the result.
Well, the game before we were at SMU losing 2-0 into the second half, like well into the second half, like 20 minutes left into the game. At this point, like, I was behind Adu and Eve, who were two German midfielders who are incredible players. So I started on the bench. I came in on as I usually would, like 10 minutes towards the end of the first half, and like I was like, wow, bro, like we were getting ruined. Yeah. SMU was incredibly good, bro. They were just like, bro, like all of us were a step behind, and I was like, bro, like we're just not good enough. Like we're gonna lose this game because they're just better than us. Like we can't do anything about it. So we go into halftime, bro. Like we try to keep the morals high. Obviously, we're not gonna give up. It's like 2-0. Like we could come back, but in my head, I'm like, wow, like they're fucking good. They have good players. Like they're just bopping us.
Yeah.
Then 20 minutes left into the game, I get subbed on. I'm like, okay, last 20 minutes of the season. Like, it wasn't the season that I really wanted because I was on the bench, like, not starting a lot. There was a point in the season where I was competing for that starting role and I thought I was going to win it, but then I got a little injury, so I lost it. So anyways, 20 minutes left. I feel like, okay, 20 minutes, I just going to play, enjoy the last 20 minutes. Like, honestly, no stress for me going into this game. I go in, start moving the ball well. We start creating a few chances. And then we score. Max scored. And then I'm like, oh, damn. Like, bro, maybe we could actually tie it.
And what time was it? Like, how late in the game was that first goal?
Bro, I feel like there must have been maybe under 20 minutes left when we scored the first goal. I don't know if it's exact, but it's either 15 to 25 minutes. Like, in that time range is when we scored that first goal. Then we score a second goal. And I think it was like, must have been like 12 to 15 minutes left when we scored that second goal. And I'm like, whoa, bro, like we just tied it up. We're gonna win. Bro, when we scored that second goal, I swear, I'm like, bro, we're gonna win. Like, there's no way we're gonna lose. And then I remember that there's overtime after we scored that second goal. I'm like, okay, bro, we have to win now. Because if we have to play an extra 20 minutes, I don't know if, like, with the momentum, like, we have it right now. We have to win it right now. And then when Garrett scored that volley, that was wild. It's honestly, me and Adu talk about it and spoke about it after the game. We're like, it just felt like a dream that we won that game. We're like, what just happened? Bro, I wish you were there for it because it was super, like, unreal. That was honestly one of my best college experiences. But just like that leading into the next game against UCLA, when we found out we would be hosting them, because I think UCLA played against Clemson. And UCLA upset Clemson, so then we're like, wow, we're gonna host this third round. And then I think the most memorable part was us walking out of, so like the locker room.
We'll set the stage a little bit. So you beat SMU in the comeback, then you find out you're gonna be hosting UCLA on Virtue. Mm-hmm. And by now is it early December, late November?
It's like late November. So
in Burlington, which is like
freezing. Yeah. Bro, absolutely freezing. There was snow, like they plowed the field and everything.
Yeah.
And like I think the best part about it for me that I'll always remember this feeling is we walk out of the facility of where our locker room is and everything, heading onto the pitch, and everyone made like a sort of tunnel that led onto the field. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as we
Yeah,
walked
yeah.
out, when we go left to walk onto the field,
Yeah.
there was just a tunnel, and they're just clapping and cheering for us. And I walked out, I was like, whoa, bro! Like instant goosebumps. Like I felt like I was about to play like in a Champions League game. Like, bro, it was crazy. Seeing everyone smiling.
Yeah.
It was like we don't have any, like we have all these people behind us, and I knew we weren't gonna lose to UCLA. As soon as we got them, like they did the upset, I'm like, bro, there's no way we're losing. We're gonna crack UCLA.
Yeah.
And then we absolutely destroyed them in front of like how many fans? Like 3,000.
It was over 3,000, I think.
It was
and
wild.
Virtue Field, the capacity is like 2,500.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, that was a crazy game.
Yeah.
The best was because I was there, like in the stands, and I remember seeing you guys walk out, and UCLA was just kind of like looking, because obviously they're very bundled up. They're coming from Southern California, where it's, I don't know how warm it is that time of year, but it wasn't below freezing, that's for sure.
Bro,
And
we were in the cutoffs.
Yeah, you guys were in the. That was the best part. Yeah,
we were
talk
in the
about
cutoffs. Yeah, so in the locker room before the game, I think it was Jimmo, one of the other captains at the time. I was about to put on an Under Armour. He's like, "What are you doing, bro?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "We're all wearing cutoffs." He's like, "Non-negotiable. We're all wearing cutoffs." I'm like, "Are you serious, bro? It's freezing outside. Are you serious?" He's like, "Bro, we're all wearing cutoffs. I don't care." So we all walk out for the warm up wearing cutoffs, and like we pass UCLA as we head off onto the pitch, like still inside the facility. And I remember I heard someone like saying like, "Damn, bro," because they were in their parkas, in their Under Armours. So I think like just a mental battle when they saw us in the cutoffs, like they were like, "It's gonna be a rough day."
It was like game right there.
Yeah.
Like,
and also just the contrast in how UVM and UCLA play. Like UCLA try to play a beautiful football. A lot of like short passes, things like that, and we're like much more direct and physical team. And like already going into the game, I think it was an unfavorable matchup for them. Plus the snow, and the conditions, plus being away, and then they see us in cutoffs.
yeah.
Bro, they must have thought we were like fucking warriors, bro, like cavemen, bro. Like I don't know, like they must have thought we were crazy.
So how did, like, that was just like Jimmo's decision, or that was a team thing before the game?
He must have spoken with a few guys, but Jimmo was the one who's like, "Bro, don't put your Under Armour."
That's
like,
unreal.
we're all going out in cutoffs.
I actually love that. That's unreal. So, sticking on the kind of soccer track, so Danny and I were on the same team this past year. Danny was obviously the captain, and so you'd talk a lot before the games. You'd be the one giving the pregame speech, and a lot of them are very good. There's like one in particular that stands out to me. I can't remember the game, but you were talking about how we all have to play for our why, and you talked about your why, and I just wanted you to share a little more about that and how that plays into kind of your soccer journey.
Yeah. So, well, those speeches, I had a lot of time to prepare for them because I broke my foot in the first game, so I was out for basically pretty much the whole season. Came back in the last game, so I really wanted to find a reason or a way to have an influence on the game, and I feel like the speech was a way for me to put my stamp onto the game and help you guys and the team perform. And yeah, like that speech, and I think I remember it, and I was trying to, before the game, talking to some guys and asking them like what they play for, and I knew like obviously some guys and like people they lost and that they play for them, so I just wanted to pull at that a little bit. And coming from someone who I've lost my mom to cancer, and that's a major reason why I play, to not only make her proud but to make my dad proud and my family who's helped me along the way. I know for me that pulls the strings when someone brings it up in a speech, because I've had coaches do it to me before. So just try to pull at those strings to guys on our team who had similar experiences, guys who haven't seen their parents, or guys who had parents fly out from far away to watch a certain game. I think sometimes we forget why we do it because we're always playing football, we're always training, that we forget to take a moment and say why do we even play and who do we play for and things like that, because we don't just do it for ourselves. So I think in that game I just wanted to pull at those strings a little bit. I don't know if we won it. Did we win the game?
I actually don't.
I don't remember. So I don't know if it worked, but
Do you remember what game it was?
bro, there were so many speeches that like I used to just
I know it was on Virtue.
yeah, that one was on Virtue, but I remember maybe it was senior night or something, cause
I don't know.
no,
I don't think it was.
it must have been a big game, or a game we needed to win.
Could have been NGIT. Oh,
We
maybe.
lost.
Could have been that though. Either way, it was a good speech. But no, but that's one of the, I brought that up because I think that's one of the things that made you like such a great captain, is because it was clear and is clear that like you're playing for some, like when you step on the field and like our team watched you play, it was like clear that you're playing for something bigger than yourself. Like of course the program, but also, you know, your why. Like you mentioned, your mom. And yeah. And the other thing I remember is one time in the locker room when we would do the bell, ring the bell before the game.
Yeah.
And I think you rang it a couple times, but the first game,
Yeah.
my first game ever with the team, which I still remember that whole, like being in the locker room, like it was awesome. Like tech ball before, everyone's dancing, like the energy's just unreal. Big home opener. And we're about to walk out and Rob says a quick word about you. And I just remember like getting chills, partly from the moment, but really because of that, talking about, again, your why, you know, medical complications you've had. And yeah, it was just, I remember, you know, you had some emotions like going
Yeah.
through you, and just watching that, it was pretty obvious. Like you talked about knowing you weren't going to lose against UCLA, like it was the same feeling. It's like, wow, like we're not going to lose. And also like a feeling of pride, like getting to be a part of that. So yeah, that was one thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I remember.
Yeah.
Thing is, when I like talk about it, I don't get that emotional. But when other people like talk about me and like
Yeah.
that thing, I don't know why. Like in those moments, I'll get emotional.
Yeah.
But also in the speeches like that I would do, like I don't know if you realize, I would low key get emotional during those because I wanted to play so bad that in the speeches like I would just get emotional talking because I was like, even like I want to help the team,
Right.
but like this is the only way I could, and I would just the emotions would just come up in those moments, in those speeches. Honestly it was tough 2 months, but when I broke my foot.
Yeah, I can't believe it was only 2 months. You rehabbed like crazy.
Yeah, it was just 8 weeks.
That was unbelievable.
But that's like like usually it takes 8 weeks for the bone to heal. But the fact that I had to play right away is like was tough.
In a huge game.
Yeah.
And you played well. So pre-game speeches, that's like a component of, you know, your job as a captain, your job as a leader. So can we talk a little bit more about leadership? How did you develop your leadership skills?
I think in Montreal, I first became captain at U17, and it's not like I ever wanted to be captain. I think at that time, we were with the generation 2000 2001 that made up the U17 team, and so like obviously I was one of the older players, and someone that the younger guys would look up to because that's kind of how it worked in that system. And then at the beginning of that season, that's when I first discovered I had Crohn's, and I had this big issue, and I had to have surgery. And then I had to be away for a month. And then when I came back, I think the way I came back and what I had to deal with, I got a lot of respect from the guys. And every time I stepped on the pitch, like I didn't take it for granted anymore, and I think that's like what kind of got me into the leadership part when I was at that U17 level, and then I was given the captaincy, and I don't really think I was a good captain back then. Like I was just like, I don't even know how I'm captain. Like I'm just trying my best to lead a team. I didn't know anything about leadership. I didn't know how to talk to people properly, how people would react. Like I'm a pretty introverted person, so it's not like I was a loud guy on the field and thing like that. But I think just the fact that everyone saw how hard I worked and like my perseverance through certain things is what got me to respect as someone to be a captain. And then it just worked its way up because I was a captain again at U19. And then when I got here in my sophomore year, they named me one of the captains. So I think my dedication to playing well and also my dedication to the team is what is probably my best skill as captain. But overall, as a leader, I had to really learn a lot from guys like Jimmo, guys like Garrett. Like I had no idea how to properly lead a team, and I'm not saying like I think I know how now, but I think after this past season, and like the years before, I'm more like equipped, and I still have so much to learn. But I think just being someone that people could look up to is probably the main thing when it comes to leadership, and someone that you know is gonna do as much as you, if not more. Probably it has to be more at most times, and it's gonna be just like selfless. Because
Right.
if you have someone who's fucking selfish, how is that gonna be a captain? Like you have to be selfless at all times.
Right. So I want to go back to the leader. I want to stay on the leadership track, but I also want to talk a little bit about Crohn. So you said, well, first of all, can we just talk a little bit about what it is? But also, you said you got it when you were 17. You were at surgery when you were 17 or 18.
I was 16.
16.
But it was like the U17 year. I
So
was
talk
about
a
to
little
turn 17.
talk a little bit about that.
So Crohn's is an autoimmune system disease, and it's basically like your body fights itself and causes inflammation in the lining of certain parts of your bowels or intestines.
Mhm.
So I remember when I was 16, one day my stomach just started feeling weird. It wasn't painful. It just felt like super weird, like almost like just full. Like I always felt full. So that persisted for a few days. I kept training and things like that. I'm like, it's not going away. Then one day I'm like, okay, enough. Like I'm just gonna go to the clinic. I go to the clinic. They tell me, oh, it's probably your appendix.
Yeah.
And like you have to go to the hospital right now because maybe it's gonna burst. Because I started getting like cramps. They're like, oh, your appendix is gonna burst. Like that's why you're getting sharp pains. So I remember I was with my dad. I get in the car and then the pain started like getting worse, like almost like as someone stabbing. So then I'm like, Dad, I have to go lie down in the car. And then once I'm lying down in the back seat, he's driving. Like I started screaming. I'm like, honestly, it felt like someone was stabbing me in the stomach. So my dad's like, what's happening? Like maybe his appendix is starting to burst. So that's what we thought. I thought my appendix was bursting. My dad rushes me to the emergency. I get to the emergency room. They give me meds. They calm me down. I'm not in pain anymore. They're like, all right, we're just going to go take out your appendix. I'm like, oh, no problem. So I go into surgery. I wake up from surgery. I remember when I first woke up. I woke up and my brother was there. I'm like, is everything all right? Like, bro, like still like half asleep, half medicated. I'm like, it's all good. He's like, yeah, it'll be okay. Like, there's something else, but you're going to be fine. I'm like, what? He's like, well, like we'll tell you tomorrow. I'm like, what? I was so confused, but like I was still medicated.
Yeah.
So I just go back to sleep. Then I wake up in the morning and they're telling me like, yeah, so we went to take out your appendix. Nothing wrong with your appendix, but we found major like inflammation, like in your lower bowel, and that you're like, I don't know if it was my bowel or my intestines like perforated. So like the bacteria or whatever, the inflammation like it like got through the lining, so that's why I was in such major pain.
Okay.
So then they're like, we tried our best to take out all like the bacteria and like whatever pus or whatever was in there. But like now, you have to stay in the hospital for a week because I had like kind of like a little pocket of where like fluid was draining out of, and I had like a tube going in.
Oh my god.
So then I'm like, fuck, like what the fuck? Like
Yeah.
how the fuck did this happen? Like out of nowhere. They're like, yeah, so we think you probably have Crohn's disease, but we're gonna have to run more tests. So then I stay in the hospital. Then I kept throwing up. So they would give me like liquids.
This is while you're in the hospital.
While in the hospital, I was drinking liquids and I would keep throwing it up. They're like, okay, like we're gonna have to put a tube in your nose now, so you could hydrate and we could like feed you kind of.
Right.
I'm like, fuck. So they put it in, and then like, bro, it sucks because like you kind of every time you talk, you kind of feel it.
Yeah.
So I would feel it. So then at a certain, like I was so pissed. At a certain point, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stop talking for the period of this tube. So then I wouldn't talk, and I would just like be like eating like ice chips just to like help soothe everything.
Wow.
Bro, my stomach was like concrete, and then they're like, you have to try walking. So I would walk around. Bro, like it was terrible. Like one of the worst weeks of my life.
What was it like when you walked?
After my surgery, it was like, bro, my stomach was like super like hard. Like if
From
like,
the inflammation?
Yeah, I think it was inflammation or just like from the surgery.
Yeah.
So like, let's say like when you press into your stomach, you could like go in.
Yeah.
Bro, me it was just like it was just like a rock. You couldn't like cave into your stomach. So it was like fucking hard. Like it was like just a continuous cramp. So every day I got a little bit better, obviously, because with time you get better. Then towards like this 5th, 6th day, they're like, okay, like you're gonna be leaving soon, but you have 2 options. Either you're gonna go on steroids to like help the inflammation, and you could like eat, but you have to eat like very like clean or like something, like be on like a certain diet, or you could go on a liquid diet of like prescribed meal replacements for 3 months. So for those 3 months, your bowel could heal. It won't have to like digest anything. So, bro, I'm with the Montreal Impact Academy. I'm like, bro, if I go on steroids, they're like, you could gain weight, like you could get acne, you could do this, that. I'm like, bro, I don't have a choice. I have to go on this liquid diet. So then I went on this liquid diet for 3 months. Bro, 3 months of not... Bro, 3 months of not eating food. It was fucking crazy, bro. I was losing my mind, bro.
Is it like liquid diet? Is this like what is like smoothies?
Meal
like,
replacement. The only thing you could drink is the meal replacement, water, and broth.
What's the meal replacement?
You know, like Ensure? It's a prescribed one, but you know, like Ensure or...
No.
You know, like old people, they'll drink like a bottle of meal replacement?
No.
You don't know this?
No, I don't know this.
Like Boost.
I have no idea. I'm gonna have to look up like.
You never heard?
picture.
You never seen a meal replacement? Anyways, it typically like older people eat like a meal replacement.
So like what's in it?
Bro, it's just pharmaceutical. Pharmaceutical made. It's like just like vitamins, calories. It's like everything you need. But bro, like, it's like
disgusting.
It's like medicine. It tastes like medicine. It's not a normal thing. Like people made it. It's like if you look in the ingredients, it's like it's like a science experiment, bro. So for 3 months, I'm drinking this. Every carton of like 500 milliliters is like 500 calories. So it's like a calorie per milliliter, or maybe it was 250. I don't know. But bro, so it was extremely thick. This drink. It was disgusting.
And so you drink it like 3 times a day, like meals?
I had to drink like 8 a day.
Oh my god.
So like 2 every meal. And then if I was still hungry, I had to drink that as a snack. And then drink water, or like for dinner my dad would just bring me a broth, like a clear broth, and I would drink the broth.
How did you feel when you were on the diet?
Bro, I remember the first 2 days, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. was like, I was just happy to be out of hospital. The third day, I wake up. My dad comes. He's like, you have to drink this. I was in bed. He's like, it's like breakfast. You have to drink it. I'm like, Dad, if I drink this, I'm gonna throw up everywhere. He's like, you have to. Like, you need to. You can't just not drink it. I'm like, Dad, I promise you, if I take a sip of this, I'm gonna throw up everywhere. Bro, sure you not? I took a sip. I threw up all, like, everything. Because the night before, like, before bed, I drank one. I'm like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm gonna drink one. It was still, everything was still in my stomach, bro. I threw up everywhere, all of it. Then slowly, like, I try not to have, like, 12 a day like I was having. So, I would dilute it with water. Bro, it was disgusting. Like, my tongue would be, like, covered. Like, there would be, like, a film of white from it constantly. So then at school too, let's say, like, you know, like how you have like lunch,
right?
You're with your boys, you're eating lunch. I would have to pour 2 meal replacements into a shaker bottle with water, shake it up, chug, bro, because I wasn't gonna like sip it, bro. I chugged it every time. 1,000 calories right there, meal done.
And how long did that last?
3 months.
3 months. And wow. Did you have like were your energy levels different, and were you training throughout this, or you're just recovering?
Yeah,
from this,
no. So like, once I got out of the hospital, I was like 2 weeks I couldn't do anything, still recovering. Then 2 weeks I started running again, and then I started playing after a month out in the hospital, and I was playing. All throughout this liquid diet I was playing. I gained weight because, bro, I was just consuming like a science experiment every day. Like, wasn't having anything that's like natural. So I gained like weight, but bro, I was playing, and I was playing well too. So like that didn't change anything. I was still performing at a high level. And from what I remember, I felt fine. I didn't like, there was no problems. But it mentally was the problem, because then there would be times where they're like, okay, now you're gonna start eating again. And then I think they did it to trick me, to like be like, okay, there's only like 2 weeks left, and then be like, okay, no, it's 2 more weeks.
That's so mean.
And I remember one time, I was supposed to eat the next day, and my dad's like, no, you have to wait 2 more weeks or something. Bro, I was like punching the wall. I was screaming. I was like, what? When the fuck am I gonna be able to eat?
And then it was actually 2 weeks after that.
At a certain point, like, I was going crazy. They're like, okay, now you could start eating like just plain chicken.
Yeah.
So I started with the plain chicken. Then I slowly started adding stuff.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't actually know like all the details of it.
Yeah, it sucks, but like obviously there's worse things in life. So
yeah, but that's hard.
yeah, it's tough. But like I said, there is worse things.
And how does it impact you now?
Now it's pretty well. Like, I'm lucky that it's very well managed. Like, I take medication every week. It's like a shot of the medication. Ideally, I wouldn't want to be on a medication like that. Like, and I mean, ideally, I would find like a diet that works for me. But like, I don't know. It's difficult to know what causes inflammation, what doesn't, because you need to be constantly doing tests and things. So right now it's pretty well managed, and I'm glad it is. It's been well managed since that liquid diet, and I think it was a good decision to go on it. So now, like, there's now that I've lived it with so many years, there's certain things that I know, like, to stay away from. But then sometimes, like, I'll just wake up and I'll be like, have like nausea, or like I'll eat something that doesn't sit well and I'll just be throwing up for a few hours, or like I'll just have diarrhea. Luckily, there hasn't been anything major issues. The last major thing was in preseason of 2022, where I caught like a stomach bug, but like a stomach bug for someone normal and stomach bug for someone like me is a big difference. So like, I like was storing up like crazy, couldn't even like, let's say I took a sip of water, like I would throw up. So then I had to go to the emergency, get on some fluids because I was super dehydrated. Then like out of nowhere, like the next day I just started getting better, which it's random.
So
but it's scary in those moments.
You'll have like pretty much, if you eat something, you could just have a reaction, and then are you able to kind of identify what it was pretty easily? Like, for example, 2022, do you have a sense for like what caused that?
in that, I think it was a stomach bug because my dad had caught it, my brother had it, my friend had it.
Okay.
And then I had given it, like Sebi the next day after I started throwing up. And he was my roommate at preseason. So I figured it was a stomach bug that just affected me way worse than everyone else. So in that case, but like now, there's like things I've identified that I should avoid eating, but like still there's sometimes like, for example, I went to my girlfriend's sister's house before coming back to Vermont, and she made like some healthy brownie dessert, and there was like chia seeds in it. I'm like, oh, this is fucking amazing. Like I had like 2 pieces, bro. As soon as I get home, I'm like, bro, something's not right. Then I just throw up until I throw up a lot, and it was like all that whatever brownie I ate. So I figured, like, okay, now I'm gonna not eat chia seeds because maybe there's too much fiber in it that I can't digest properly.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to where the conversation about Crohn's got introduced, which was leadership. So we talked a little bit about how you developed that leadership at Montreal, kind of earning the respect of your teammates and then just kind of learning as you went. What do you think, you already talked a little bit to this about, selflessness, doing the things that you're asking of your teammates and more as a couple things that are important for a leader. What do you think are the best and most important leadership skills?
I think being selfless, like I mentioned before, is probably one of the most major ones because how could someone lead a team if the individuals that they're trying to lead doesn't think that they'll do anything for them? Like, how would you see me as a leader if you wouldn't think that I would do anything for you? You know what I mean? Like, that's the most important part.
Right.
If you're in a situation where, let's say something's not right, but like no one wants to say anything, as the leader, should be the one and be selfless enough to go and say it regardless of the repercussions, whether it's for the bad or for the good. So I think being selfless is ultimately the biggest one for me, and maybe it's biased because that's how I would like someone to lead me to be, and that's how I projected myself as one. So I think that's the main one for myself, but like also there's just so many other things.
I think that's a good one though. I think selflessness is really big. Yeah. Like as someone, a part of a team that you were a leader on, like that's, I think one of the biggest things. Of course you need someone like, I mean, you were fortunate you had both where like you are a prominent player on the field, but you also have like that character, like the selflessness aspect. So I think you either need a person that can do both, or you need, someone that you can look to on the field, and then another one that's like more the character leader. But I think fortunately you had both. Still staying on the soccer topic, but shifting a little bit away from leadership. What was your lowest moment as a player?
My lowest, that's a good question, bro. There's been so many lows. Like, as much as there's been good, there's been so many lows. I think having to leave the academy was one of my lows, and I don't think it really hit me as hard in the moment, because I think it was like a gradual process of me understanding that I wouldn't sign with the first team. And I think that's why when I left, like, I was kind of happy to leave, because I was like, I just overextended my stay here because I knew I wasn't going to sign.
Maybe just explain a little bit the academy system and how that works with like how a professional team and signing a contract and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. So at my time at Impact, which is now CF Montreal, there was
which is an MLS team.
MLS Academy. There was the U14, U15, U17, U19 team. When I was younger there, when I was like, because I got in when I was in the U14 age. So when I was in U14, there was a second team that they had called FC Montreal, which I think played in like the PDL and like played in maybe championship at the time too. I think they played in championship, PDL, something like that.
Okay.
So once I got older, I remember the day when they're like, okay, there's no more FC Montreal, there's no second team. So once you get to U19, either you're signing with the first team or you're gone, bro. There's nothing else. And going from U19 to pro is not a lot of players are able to do that. Like
Right.
only the most talented ones. A lot of players needed the seasoning in the second team to even have a chance of playing in the first team. And even the second team is your pro player. So like that idea is gone. So then once I got into U19, there's 2 years in the U19 because you go in as like an 18 and a 19-year-old. So then once I get into my second year of U19, I'm like, bro, I have to somehow win a spot with the first team. Then at the beginning, I get injured, I think. I was playing well, but then I get injured and miss a few weeks. They invite other kids to go with the first team because I was injured. I was like, bro, I missed my shot. And then I never really got invited for the first team whenever they needed guys. So I knew I wasn't going to sign with the first team because it's kind of obvious who they want to kind of bring into the first team, right?
Based on who they're bringing up for training.
And then who's going to get invited for preseason. So I knew, like, it's not going to happen. So then once I knew it wasn't going to happen, I didn't take it as serious as I should, the practices, and I think that just affected, like, more that, like, I just never got a shot. And that was immature on my end, and I do regret, like, I didn't take it as serious in those times. But the lowest moment is probably once COVID hit, and then I was leaving the academy. I was like, wow, like all those years I spent there, because I spent like 7-8 years there. All the relationships I built, all the friendships I had, so many great memories, like just all not for nothing, but just gone. Like I'll never be able to be with those group of boys again that I had such a great connection with. Be with those coaches, be in that structure of working towards being a pro. It's gone. And then obviously I had committed to the University of Vermont, so I had something to look forward to. But I think that at the time was the lowest, because I had realized what I lost. But also just in the fact that I felt like I overextended my stay and I wasn't working that hard anymore because I didn't have anything to work towards. And then I think once like COVID hit, and then once it was like shifting to everything reopening again at the beginning, I started really training every day again with one of my good friends in Montreal, and that like really sparked something in me that I wanted to train every day, lift, all that. And I was doing more then than I ever did when I was with the academy. So also like kind of another regret, which I think I could have, like I would do what they asked and I would do it like extremely like well and like to my best capability, but I never went above and beyond of what I should have.
So lowest moment leaving the academy.
Yeah.
Just kind of unknown there.
Well, but there's also so many other things, like breaking my foot at the beginning of last season.
Tough.
That was terrible because my senior year, I wanted to try and explore options of going pro, and that was kind of all shattered in just one step in my foot where it breaks out of nowhere.
And that was the game that we talked about, West Virginia, where there was the pregame speech that we were talking about. Not by you, but about you.
Oh, yeah. And against Western Michigan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was also super low. Waking up the next day and getting an X-ray and knowing I broke my foot, like, and then everyone coming up to me, like, bro, it just, I couldn't hold, like, I was just crying in the training room because I just felt like everything, like, I was so excited for the season, everything was gone. But it's football.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah, that was our moment.
But
for the team, too.
Yeah. And you've had injuries too before, like long term. It wasn't even the worst injury. That's the worst part. It was
Just the timing.
The timing, but also the timing. If I had to break my foot, that was the perfect moment to break it, because it was the only game that would allow me to come back and play.
That's a good way to think of it.
But it was a blessing that I got. If I had to break my foot, I broke it on the first game, because I came back and I played all the fucking important ones.
Yeah, no, I mean, made it through the whole tournament, so, and UNH. So, with how your soccer journey's gone so far, would you change anything?
I would change how much I worked at the academy. I think I could have done so much extra work, especially when I was so young, that like I do it now, and I don't know why I didn't do it while I was there. I guess I don't even know. Like, I wanted to be a pro then, and I knew I did, but I didn't realize how much work it took to be one until I wasn't getting a first team contract. I thought if I just did what they told me, that would be enough, and I would get to where I need to be. But it's not the case. You have to do so much extra. If you're not like naturally gifted, where like you're a talented phenom, you need to do so much extra, and I wouldn't do that extra work. I started doing it after I left the academy. I started running. I started trying to be the most fit, trying to lift, trying to be the strongest, trying to stretch. Bro, I never stretched when I was young. Never, ever, ever. Now I stretch before every night. And I'm way more flexible than I was now than when I was younger. Bro, and that, like, sometimes I look back on it and I was like, I was young, but I was so, like, it was so stupid, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I could have done this when I was younger, and I probably would have, the gains would have been so much, like, exponential than now. So that's, like, a good regret. But I don't like regretting stuff, but is a regret.
If you had to pick one.
Yeah.
So we mentioned at the beginning, you are now a player for San Diego State. After 4 years at UVM, could you talk a little bit about why you transferred, and then why specifically you landed at SDSU?
So I truly loved all the 4 years at Vermont. I think it not only made me such a better player, but it also made me such a better, like, human, being away from home for the first time, putting myself into a community that I truly love. I spent 3 summers here, which is crazy. Like, I think I spent so much time in Vermont. I spent like a lifetime in Vermont. And, like, I absolutely love the community. I love the UVM program. But I think going into last year, not that I told myself that this would be my last year, but I kind of did, because I wanted to take that next step into the pro. I wanted to start my pro career, but the fact that I broke my foot, like, that was a major, like, blow to my chances. So I just, at the end of the season, I still was trying to explore my professional options. I thought, like, maybe I would get invited to preseasons. I didn't get invited to anything. And then I kind of told myself, if I'm returning to college to play college soccer, I want to be super excited to come back. And not that I wouldn't be excited to come back to Vermont, but I just think that I just needed a new experience. I think soccer has been such like a platform for me to be able to live new experiences that it would be, I think I would have regretted not being able to go out and try to venture off into somewhere different. Like, bro, when am I ever gonna have another chance to go out and live in San Diego?
Yeah, no.
Like, I hope I do. I hope, like, I could live somewhere, but, like, when am I gonna get that chance? And football provides that chance.
Right.
And just the fact that I got an extra year because of COVID, not that I was lucky, I lost, like, kind of like a year of soccer, but I kind of did get it's kind of gave me another chance to live another experience. Obviously, right now I would be done with football. So that is kind of why. It's not because of anything that I didn't love UVM, bro. I absolutely adore UVM. I love Vermont, but it was just a life decision,
Right.
mainly.
Need to see something new.
Yeah.
While you can. And you have one more year because of COVID, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we lost this season.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit away from soccer. Go back to Montreal. Tell me about growing up in Montreal. Actually, yeah, let's just leave it there for now. Tell me about growing up in Montreal.
Growing up in Montreal.
Yeah.
Well, Montreal is such like a diverse city with the French and all that. I had a great childhood growing up. Like, I love Montreal. It's like an incredible place to be. There's so many things to do. There's so many people you can meet. So I love Montreal. So my childhood was great. I had lots of family. Grew up with my cousins. Had lots of great friends. So I just think the main thing in Montreal is the French. Growing up as someone who's English in Montreal could be kind of difficult because when I was young, especially like really young, I wasn't comfortable with French at all. So I remember like being young and joining karate, and karate's in French. So I do two trainings, and I'm like, I tell my dad, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't understand anything. I literally don't understand anything. I loved hockey when I was young. I still love hockey, but I really wanted to play. Like, it was my dream to be like a hockey player when I was really young. That and like I wanted to be a dual fucking sport athlete. I wanted to be a hockey and soccer player. So I joined hockey when I was really young, and like I was good. But after like 5 practices, I'm like, bro, I don't understand anything. It's fucking French. So I quit. Like I was scared. I was comfortable. I couldn't interact with any of the kids. It was all French. So like that kind of like influenced the way forcing me to play soccer because my dad was the coach. So since my dad was the coach, I was able to he would speak English to me. So that's what allowed me to continue into soccer.
Would he just speak English to you?
He probably spoke French and English, so like a duo, but it's my dad, so like
Right.
I was comfortable.
Huh. So when did you become like fluent in French?
I think as I got maybe like I think the academy was a big reason why, because it forced me to see these guys every day and interact with them and become friends, like actual friends with my teammates. Because like when I was playing local, like I would just be friends with the English people. Like I would just talk to the English people. I would interact a little bit with the French guys, but like my main friends were just the English guys. But then once I got into academy, bro, you see these guys 5 hours a day. I'm obviously you're gonna become friends with the French guys too, because they're mainly French too. So I become friends with them. I start speaking it more. I realized that, bro, they don't care if I make mistakes. So I would just speak. I would say stupid things. I would speak English and French at the same time, and then I slowly started to get better. And that's what honestly allowed me to build my French. And now being here in the States for so long, I lost it a little bit, which sucks.
Really?
Yeah, but now that like Simi and Jan, guys from Montreal that I'm able to talk to in French again, so it's nice to try to build it. Jan, he is from Montreal. He's on Vermont Green.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's something I was really curious about. Something we were talking about before we started the podcast was just the effect of like growing up in a bilingual place.
I never really put it into words, and now that I did, I kind of realized that me not being able to be comfortable with French kind of forced me into the football path.
That's an interesting...
Because I was really into hockey, bro, and now that I talk about it, I'm like, wow, the fact that I didn't speak French forced me more into soccer. Maybe I would have been fucking a karate master, bro.
So it was... How do I want to phrase this? Like, were the coaches and the kids on the other teams, this is just me being probably a little ignorant, were they able to speak English like a little bit, a lot, and they just like...
There's some kids, especially when they're younger,
yeah,
they'll just speak French. As they as we grew older and became teenagers, they would start also learning English as I started learning French. Okay. So it was easy to communicate. But when when you're young, bro, I only knew English, they only knew French. Bro, there's no talking. Like,
what determines if you only know French versus only know English?
so, and like, I think it was like the 70s maybe,
Yeah.
Quebec like passed like a bill where if you immigrate to Quebec, you have to go to French school.
Okay.
You have to put your kids into French school. But I was lucky that this bill was passed before.
French school meaning schools that teach in
Are
French?
predominantly French.
Okay.
Like the teachers are French, everything's in French. The only thing you'll have like is English class, like normal. Like you have you have like a Spanish class. But my mom and my dad, they had me. Well, they're like older parents. They had me late, so they went to school before this bill was ever passed. So because of that, I was able to be put into English school. So I grew up with kids who were Anglophone. Their first language was also English. So that's why, if I would have went to French school, bro, I would have been absolutely French. Like I would have spoken English at home, but I would have been like, bro, especially when you're young, you're like a sponge. I would have been super French. But yeah, that's why I went to English school, and that's why my friends were English. Besides my soccer friends, everyone else was English.
Okay, that's cool. I know the history at all.
Yeah, it's crazy. So now anyone who comes into Quebec, bro, their kids have to go to French school. So because Quebec wants to preserve the French language and kind of push English to the side. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Language police and everything, bro.
I have a lot of. I just don't. I should just read up more, honestly. So I just have a million questions about that. I got some soccer questions here.
I feel like I'm talking about myself so much, bro.
That's how podcasts work.
I know,
You're a
but
guest
bro,
on the podcast.
I want to ask you questions.
We can. You can ask me questions if you want. But wait, I have a question. And I want to transition back. I'm going to transition back into talking about soccer.
Yeah.
We said we weren't going to talk, or I said it was going to mostly be not soccer, but we've almost exclusively talked about soccer.
Bro, we had a good portion about fucking Crohn's.
Yeah, that's true. So this, you can talk about soccer, you can talk about anything.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a tough question, so take your time. And you can answer it in one or two ways, I guess. So where do you see yourself in, we'll say 5 years? Or you can answer it, where do you want to be in 5 years?
That's a good question. That is a good question because I've only ever seen myself as eventually being a professional soccer player.
Yeah.
So if you ask me right now, I'm still striving to be one. So obviously in 5 years, I see myself as a professional soccer player somewhere.
I just meant like it could be about soccer or not about soccer. Not saying that won't be a profession, but like who are you like as a person, like regardless of your profession, but also soccer.
Yeah, so yeah, that obviously who I see myself with, but I think as I've grown older, I'm trying to do different things to make myself like a better human and someone that like people could approach and I could talk to more people and be able to build connections. So that's like kind of like I just want to be someone who could build I don't know how to explain it, but like someone that like, let's say you think about me and you're like, damn, he's just a good fucking guy, bro.
You want to leave a good impression.
Yeah.
Be personable and.
Yeah, I just want people to, after they meet me, after I'm like their friend, especially if I'm their friend, I want them to say, wow, this kid, I fucking love this guy. He's like just such a good guy.
Yeah.
If my friends could, like behind my back, talking to someone else, say, bro, Dan, he's just a fucking great kid.
Yeah.
Well, great guy. That's what else could I do?
Right. Yeah, I think that's where you want.
That's what I want. That's what I think
awesome.
I always want. I want that right now. I want people when they talk about me to be like, he's a great guy.
I think that's a really good goal. But I think if you ask people, like they would say something along those lines, like now, which I think is also awesome. But what about, you started answering it from the soccer lens, so I kind of want to go back to soccer. What about, same question, specifically about soccer career stuff?
Well, obviously, I just want to play as long as it permits. And it's tough, bro, because like you have to kind of make a decision. How far am I gonna push my soccer career if it's not like stable? You know, like if you're not playing at the fucking MLS or something, it's just unstable. Like your life, you get like one contract here. Is the team gonna pick up my option? How am I gonna start a family like this? Am I gonna do long distance with my girlfriend who eventually like I want her to be my wife? But how am I gonna transition from her being my girlfriend to my wife if I can't live with her because I'm always never have any stability? So how much? And people don't think about this when they think, you want to be like, you're a pro soccer player. Yeah. But bro, like you're a pro like soccer Champions player. League. You're not making most soccer players aren't making Champions League money or Prem money. They're fucking every day is a grind to try and just win a contract for next year, and you don't even know where you're gonna live. Like it's so hard. That's why, bro, it's so difficult. But yeah, like obviously I want to try and play as much as I can. I want to try and find a situation where I could have stability and be with my girlfriend who I want to transition into like being my wife and then starting a family and all that. But who knows, bro? You just go with the flow a little bit and see what happens. But you never know. Way to think. Sorry?
I think that's a good way to think. Like to go with the flow.
Because bro, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. 5 years out.
5 years. That's a tough question. If you asked me 5 years ago, if I would be sitting here, still in Vermont, well, I don't even know if I was committed. But I didn't even know University of Vermont was a school before I committed to it.
Yeah, most people don't know what it is.
Bro, it's crazy.
UVM, because it also doesn't have like the state initials. Yeah.
And if you told me my freshman year that in 2 years we'd finish 4th in the country nationally, bro, I would say, are you fucking nuts?
Yeah, it was a quick
bro,
ascent.
If you would say UVM, we made UVM into a nationally ranked program, I would say you're fucking crazy, bro. You're fucking crazy. There's no way we compete against UCLA, bro. We fucking beat UCLA in a tournament. Because I would never think that.
Was it the year before you came or your first year that the team lost to Hartford in the quarterfinals of the America East?
That was the year before me.
So that was the America East is a conference UVM competes in. Now it's a strong conference, but I feel like historically it was kind of like average. And Hartford is now a Division III team, and in like one of their last year's Division I, they knocked us out of the first round of our conference tournament. And now it's like since Danny and a lot of other people have come along, the program has like gone to the Sweet 16 2 years in a row. Year before I went to Elite 8.
It's wild, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. But wait, I need some water. But I have another question about that. You want water?
Yeah.
I also want to make sure the cameras are actually running.
Are they still running?
Yeah, yours is. Let's go.
How long are we in?
We're about hour and 20.
That's crazy, bro. That was fast. It's crazy how I have so many friends and I've never sit down and talk to them for an hour and a half without looking at my phone or something.
No, that is... Did we already talk about that? How...
But that's why I would always want a podcast, just to be able to talk to my fucking friends.
Yeah. No, that's what you... That's what you're... Oh, wait. That's what you were saying the other day, which I hadn't even thought of, but it's really smart. Like, it's just honestly a good opportunity to just talk without a phone.
And just to... Bro, like... I know my friends, especially my best friends, but, bro, there's some things, like, you probably don't know about them.
Well, I was actually having... Okay, that's running. I was actually having a conversation with my dad here the other day about how like this isn't really a unique thought. Like, I think I even heard someone else say this, but I thought it was interesting about how like even like the people you're closest to, like let's say you and your brother, you and your dad, you and your girlfriend, or me and my family, like those are the closest people to me, but even still, we only see each other for like point like 0.00001%.
Yeah.
And so like even that, like you know yourself so much better than you know anyone else. It's like crazy. I just thought that, yeah, it's weird.
It's also crazy, like, I don't know where I heard it, but, you know how, let's say you don't see your parents as often. You see them, like, what, like, let's say 20 times a year or something.
Oh, I know what you're about to say.
Okay, I won't say it then.
What's that?
You're like, oh, they're probably going to live for another 10 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, I have 10 years of seeing them. But, like, in reality, you only see them 20 times 10.
Yeah.
200 times. But that's a lot, though.
Yeah. You should have picked a smaller number. You should have picked like 2.
Like 5 or
Yeah.
something. But who the fuck only sees their parents?
No, but when you think about it, it's like the amount of times
Yeah.
you're going to see them. It's like, yeah, it's crazy. But it's a good way to think of it because it puts pressure on you to make sure you show up and then also to show up well.
Yeah, because sometimes, bro, you just, hey, Dad.
Yeah. One thing with, I always feel bad, like with my parents is, I always feel like, because parents do a really good job at, or I think most parents do a really good job at being really interested in their kids' lives.
Yeah.
So I always just like talk about me. And then I'm like, oh shit, like I didn't ask them a single question.
I know. It's such like shitty. It's such like a,
Yeah, I hate that feeling.
like I never asked my dad, how's like, are you good? Like, how's everything?
Yeah.
Bro, never in my life. But I don't know. No, but like deep questions, like I don't know. Like, let's say, you know what I mean, bro.
No, I know what you mean.
Like, you never ask them, like, oh, it's like,
Right.
how you feeling? How's, like, how you mentally? Like, it's, like, not our...
It's not the dynamic.
It's not, like, yeah, like, it's always, like, the parent asking.
But I feel like as we get older, it, like, evens out.
Yeah.
Eventually we'll be taking care of them. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
So we left off with, was it the 5 years?
Yeah.
And talking specifically about soccer. You mentioned somewhere in your answer about how a lot of people that aren't in like team sports, or I'm sure in sports in general, don't really understand like what it's like to be a pro or just like a high level athlete. Because for most people, unless you're in the the top league, in the one of the best teams in the top leagues, like you're not making a killing. You're not living like this lifestyle that you think of when you think pro athlete. And I want to be careful because like playing soccer and being able to play a sport at a high level is definitely like a privilege, and it's like there's a million things worse. But I think there are some like real challenges that I didn't realize before like joining the UVM team that were really tough. And I just wanted to ask you, like, what do you think are some really challenging things about playing a team sport, specifically soccer, at a high level that people that aren't in that environment might not think of or understand?
Bro, I don't know. There's just so many, not characters, but just personalities that you deal with every day.
Yeah.
And it's not like you get to choose who your teammates are, bro. But you like, it's kind of like, it's like your family, bro. You don't choose your family. You just,
right.
They're there, bro. They get chosen, not that they do get chosen for you. But, bro, either you guys are going to find a way to be an actual team and be actual friends and brothers, or it's going to be fucking nothing and it's going to be fucking miserable. And, bro, like on UVM, there's guys that have come from so many different walks of life, has grown up completely different, and somehow we've been able to cultivate an environment where everyone is accepted and everyone like actually loves each other. Like, bro, last year I think everyone on the team would have done anything for each other, give or take. But you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, everyone genuinely, like, really enjoyed each other's presence. So I think, like, obviously that, like, having to interact with all these people and trying to make it work is, like, a hard thing about team sports. And then, like, going off of that, I think so many people don't realize as you grow up in team sports, you build so many, like, connections with people. And that connection is sometimes uniquely towards, like, football and seeing them at, like, the facilities and at the games and at practices, that, like, once, like, let's say they switch teams or someone gets cut, bro, like, that friendship, you never see them again. There's some guys that, like, I build crazy friendships with, that at a certain point in my life where I would say they're my fucking best friend, that they would get cut from the academy and I wouldn't fucking see them anymore. And there's so many of those guys. But, like, when I talk to them, they're, like, my best friends still. But I don't get to see them anymore.
Right.
And it's gonna happen with any team, bro. Eventually, you won't see those guys anymore. Those guys that were your best friends in a certain time, you're not gonna see them anymore. But I think that bond is always gonna be there. I don't know what do you think about that? Like, what the toughest thing of the team sport is? Because I know you said you have certain things that you realized coming into UVM.
Well, with UVM, we were in, like, really different positions. So, like, we faced just different challenges. Like, for you had your injury, you were a leader, so you had a lot of responsibility. And I'm not trying to, like, you obviously say what your challenges are, but I imagine it's more to do with responsibility and, you know, having to show up even when you don't get to play. Which I guess is kind of, like, it actually is kind of, like, my challenge, which was being one of the lowest players and having to, like, motivate, like, oh, this is going to be, like, really fun to show up and, like, not be able to, like, perform to the standard that I want to just because I'm not yet at the level. So that was a hard part, was just, like, getting myself to enjoy it. And, like, a lot of times showing up for training was, even though I tried really hard to be grateful for the moment and to be playing soccer at a high level, and grateful also that my biggest problem is, like, not being able to play soccer as well as I want. Like, it's easy to tell yourself that, but then in the moment, it was really challenging to enjoy it. It was just, like, I wasn't really looking forward to training, and a lot of trainings, when I was having those moments when you're at kind of the bottom of the totem pole, were really, really tough. But long term, like, the things have benefited from the most. So, yeah, that was probably the biggest challenge.
And that's now that you say it and speaking into words, not that I never realized how difficult it could be to show up to trainings where you kind of know you're not gonna end up playing, which I could just imagine how difficult it was, bro.
Yeah, but that's, like, I wasn't the only guy.
Yeah, you weren't the only guy that was in that position, but I've never been in that position, right. So I could just imagine, like, it takes, like, fucking, like, a ballsy person to show up every day and still give it your all, knowing that you probably won't play in the end. So, bro, that's just kudos to you and all those guys that did that, because it helps us,
right,
the guys who play, because we need you guys, bro. Like,
right.
You're fucking a huge part to what we do.
Well,
and it goes unnoticed, but it is, bro. It's like, it really is a huge part of any team.
Yeah, well, thank you. But I think that's part of what made our team good, was, like, we had really good players. The guys who are on the bottom, which there was a lot of guys who didn't play, showed up and tried really hard. And then the guys at the top didn't treat the guys at the bottom like shit.
Yeah.
So it was a good dynamic. Everyone worked hard and kind of just, like, knew the role, I think. Yeah. But that was, so your biggest challenge What was the question?
I think like with the team dynamic.
Oh, what non-soccer people, non-team sports people don't realize is like really challenging. Yeah, I think that was
That was the question.
sums it up pretty well. But again, I always feel like I talk about this a lot with. I'm sure we've talked about it with other teammates. About like how hard it is and like the grind of like college soccer or whatever, but then always you have to put it in perspective a little bit that like it's like the best possible problem to have.
Yeah, it is.
Like
it is a good
because it really like it's hard in your head, but really there are consequences, but there's no like there's no your life's not on the line.
It's like, just I feel like it's just a pressure we put on ourselves to perform because bro, in the end. Like, let's say me or you have a shit game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like, okay, the coach will care and the team will care. But, bro, nobody else fucking cares, bro.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody remembers the shit pass you made. Sometimes, after the game, I'll talk to my girlfriend and I'll be like, fuck, did you see that terrible pass like I fucking made? I fucking lost the ball. She'll be like, yeah, I guess. I don't remember, though. I'm like, bro, how the fuck? And then I get mad. I'm like, how the fuck don't you remember? You didn't see me fucking do that shit. And she's like, yeah, but I think you played okay. Bro, and it's like, all that pressure, like, we put on ourselves to perform is crazy, bro.
Yeah. No, as soon as people walk out the door, they forget. Yeah.
And it's like such like an ego thing because you feel like, bro, everybody's gonna think I'm fucking shit. And then when you play well, you're like, bro, everyone's gonna think I'm a fucking baller. And most of the fucking people just forget who the fuck you were, bro.
Yeah.
It's not like we're fucking playing Champions League either.
I think it's a really good way to think of it. I'm not sure if we've talked about this before, but Georges St. Pierre, is that how you say it?
Georges St. Pierre.
Georges
St. Pierre.
It's
Georges St. Pierre. Just say it.
He has gone in public a lot and talked about like fear. Yeah. Obviously, his fear is a lot more justified. He's competing in a combat sport, which is obviously scary because there's like way more intense physical consequences than soccer. But he talked about how he would just like drive around before a fight and like look at everyone and be like, wow, none of these people care at all like if I'm gonna win this fight or not. Even my like biggest super fans, literally they're gonna watch the fight, they might be upset, but then they're just gonna go to dinner. Yeah. And they're gonna be talking about whatever, what they did that day. So I think that
our ego plays such like a big role in like thinking that bro, I played such a great game, everyone's gonna fucking see it, they're gonna think I'm an amazing player, bro. They go back to their lives after they watch the game. After an hour, they switch off, bro. Yeah. They forget and like they forget it.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good way to approach it though. But that's you summed that up well. I have a couple more about soccer. So through your journey so far, has there been anyone that either really, really doubted you or someone that really believed in you? Maybe that was someone you wouldn't suspect to really like be on your side and get behind you either way. So someone that doubted you or someone that was like really in your corner.
I don't know if there was anyone who really doubted me, because I was growing up in my youth, I was such under the umbrella of the academy that all the coaches they believed in every player, and we were always seen as the top players in the province of Quebec and in Canada respectively, because there's only 3 other academies. So I don't know if there's anyone who doubted me. I think maybe one of my biggest doubters were myself, because I never thought as myself to be the most talented player. And then every time I went against guys who I knew were fucking ballers, I would be like, bro, like there's so much. I always thought like, oh, these guys are fucking gonna kill me. Like they're always so much better than me. So I think maybe I was my own doubter growing up because I always thought guys were better than me. Even the guys who would pull up on trial, I'm like, fuck, like what if maybe he's better than me, bro? Could be better than me.
Yeah.
Cause like I was never like a crazy athlete. I wasn't like the most talented ever, or, like physically gifted. So I think maybe I was the biggest doubter. But honestly, I think the ones who were really in the corner of my corner the most was probably the UVM coaches that recruited me. I didn't know anything about NCAA or this and that, and I just knew I had to get a full scholarship to continue playing soccer because, bro, it's not like my dad saved money for me to go to university in the States. It's so fucking expensive, bro. So I never planned on going to university in the States until late, realizing that I wouldn't sign a first team contract with CF Montreal. So the fact that the UVM coaches kind of took a chance on me and gave me the opportunity to play in a professional environment while continuing my studies, I was like, damn, like they really believe in me. Just like in the visit, they told me how much I deserve this, and I was like, I never thought about like I actually do deserve this shot. So like I'll forever be grateful for that, and like feel like I'm indebted to them, but I'm grateful for that.
I think those are both good answers. Going back to like the doubter question, you said you were your biggest doubter. I think it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about like, I don't know, how do you deal with that? Like, yeah, let's talk a little bit about self-talk and how that plays a role in soccer.
Yeah. Well, going back to that, I still do have those things about like me being my biggest doubter, because every time like I'll see someone who's in my position, I'm like, fuck, like maybe they're better than me.
Yeah.
But even like fucking good players that like we know, like sometimes we do scout, always in the end I feel like after we play them or I play them, I'm always like I'm not, even when I train with pro guys, like obviously they're fucking pro for a reason, but I always come back to myself and I'm like, bro, I'm not, even if they are better than me, I'm like, I'm not that far away.
Yeah,
like I'm
right
a
there.
fucking good player. I just have to fucking realize that and always have that engraved in my hand. Like I should be going into every matchup and thinking I'm a better player. I think that's like a good way to succeed. So like I still have to work on that, and the self-talk is something that I've tried to work on. I'm not great at it, but like because I get super frustrated, and you've seen me get frustrated when I miss things. I fucking curse, scream, and sometimes, bro, like I don't know. It's tough. Like I've spoken to sports psychologists while I was injured to try and keep working on my game while I was injured, and I've tried to implement those a little bit, but it's fucking difficult, because when you fuck up, like that self-talk is, I don't know how you deal with it, but bro, for me it's like sometimes in the first like 5 minutes I'll know like, okay, I'm gonna fucking have a good game, and if like one thing goes wrong in the first 5 minutes, I'm like, maybe it's time. Maybe I won't have a good game.
Yeah. No, there's some interesting like techniques that sports psychologist people recommend. I think it's really helpful. Just like talking to someone. It doesn't even have to be, because I don't know, when the thoughts are like kind of banging around in your own head, like that's when they cause damage. I feel like when you just like say it, it's just like helps so much. But yeah.
How do you deal with it? Like, do you
Self-talk?
do you have certain phrases that you say to yourself, or certain like things like tying your shoe and like just to like keep yourself in the present? Do you do that?
I don't really have like anchors like some people like will like grab the wrist, or like you said, like tie your shoe. I do have like a couple phrases, and I saw like the sports psychologist like a lot when I was training with the team, And one of the things I used to say, it was just like, I used to have like just a rebuttal because every time in my head, it would just be like saying, it was just a lot of negativity. Like, you're not good enough. No, you can't. And I just wanted to come up with a rebuttal, and it was just simple. I would just say like, yes, you can. Because either it would be like a fitness thing and you're in those later stages and you're going to quit. And you say, oh, no, you can't do one more. You can't do one more. And the yes, you can was just like a rebuttal to it. And I think that helped a little bit. And then this past season, I kind of wanted to have different phrases for training and then for a game. Because in training, it was just, I wasn't worried about, there's no crowd. I'm not worried about what people were really thinking of me. I'm just worried about pushing myself to the limit. And so for that, it was all in. Like, you're all in, all in, all in. And then for games, which I didn't really play in, but if I would have played in the games, it was about failing boldly. So it's like, because in the games, I'm worried, like, that, like, you play at Virtue, a lot of people come to the games. Or at least for college soccer, it's a lot of people, it's a couple thousand. So I get really in my head playing in front of people. And so we came up with fail boldly to just no regrets. Don't worry about people who are thinking of you. Just go for it. Because I'd rather go for it and mess up and embarrass myself in front of 1,000 people or 2,000 people or whatever than not go for it and have the regret forever. Yeah. Because that's a way worse feeling. So that's kind of how I approached it, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, but yeah. One more soccer question, and then I want to get into some other stuff. You already talked about it a little bit, what does Vermont soccer mean to you?
It means a lot to me, bro. It means not only help me become the player that I think I am, because it forced me to play a certain way that I was never used to, and I think it added a lot of elements to my game, but just it helped me become a person that I'm super proud of. And I learned a lot of just on a human level how to talk to people, how to be a better leader, how to be a better man in general, through not only the coaches but like the players I met and the community and everything. And I realized how much a community could push certain things forward and how much community is like a big deal. Because in Montreal, it's such a big city that there is certain communities, but I never had like a community that I really bonded with and one that got behind me. So the fact that I came here and saw how important a community could be was immense in the way I want to raise my kids as I'm older and where I want to live. So it's impacted me gratefully. So for that, like I will always be grateful for Vermont soccer, and like I've just built so many relationships that it was like one of the hardest decisions for me to transfer, but obviously I did pick it for myself, and not because I don't love UVM, but yeah, I don't know. There's just so much I could say how much I love it that bro, it's crazy.
It's a cool program.
Yeah.
No, I think you summed it up well. Okay, moving a little bit away from soccer, we mentioned in like your intro the Phone Montreal and like some personal training stuff. So can you talk a little bit about how you develop this kind of entrepreneurial spirit, and and talk a little bit about, I guess, specifically the Phone Montreal, because that's a really cool idea.
Well, I've never seen myself as an entrepreneur or entrepreneurial at all, and I still don't. But my girlfriend is in the event industry. Works with a wedding planner. She is a wedding planner. So she kind of had this idea that she wanted to do. She wanted to start an audio guest book company, which is basically like at weddings, there's usually guest books where the bride and groom's guests will write into and write messages and like leave something nice for them. So an audio guest book is basically usually like a cool like rotary or vintage phone that people pick up and they leave a message, like an audio message instead, that saves like as a voicemail. So then we just collect those with our phones, and then we would send them out to the bride and groom that rents out our phone. So yeah, it was my girlfriend's idea originally, and I said like, if you're not gonna do it, like, I'm gonna do it. I have nothing to lose. Like, I always wanted to have like a little side business, like besides football. Like, there's not really anything else that I've been into, so why not try something? Like, what's the worst that could happen? I lose a few $100s. Bro, it's money comes, money goes. But like, I had the money to do it. Fortunately, some people don't. So I was fortunate for that. So I'm like, I have the money to try. Why not try? So I was in Vermont, obviously. So I needed someone to partner with in Montreal to do like the deliveries and pickups. And my cousin is the perfect person for it. My cousin is like also my best friend. His name is James. So I partnered with him, and he's very creative and he's great at doing edits and taking pictures and great on the social media side. So he does all of that. He edits the audios and sets up the Google Drives while I deal with the clients and things of that nature. But yeah, it's something that it's a good side hustle that we've had, and it's been going well, especially with someone that is in the industry that I know, like my girlfriend, who does help us get clients. But it's good. I think the event industry, I've told you many times, is something that's just, there's so many ideas that you could bring into, like, bro, there's so many different things and people that are trending, and I think it's a cool way to make money on the side.
There's a lot of ways to be creative, it seems like. In summertime, I would assume is like,
wedding season.
Yeah, wedding season.
Yeah, so right now it's like we've had almost every weekend. Like now the next 2 weekends we don't have anything, so we've almost had it every weekend. So it's really cool. And obviously you have your business, and like sometimes things go wrong. Like our first wedding of this season, our phone out of nowhere stopped working.
Yeah.
The client messaged me. She's like, the phone's not working. I'm like, what? You touched it? I was like, nah, it's definitely working. Then I get the phone back. I'm like, bro, it's definitely not working, this phone. And we realized the SD cards, like, they were corrupt.
Okay.
So then we had to buy new SD cards, switch it all out to be safe. So like, those are things that like you learn, like, as you, like, it's not like it's a major business, but you learn through these little hustles. And now like, it's part of being a business. Like a little business that I have, and it's good ways to learn just like human connections and like how to talk to people, how to act in a business like manner, because all I've known is football, so it's a good way to learn different things and grow as a human, you know.
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome, and I think it's honestly like a really cool idea. Like I remember when you first started it. I was really impressed because I think it's honestly really creative, and I think it's awesome that you and like it's a cool like connecting point for like you and Sam.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Also, I remember when I first started, I told myself if I just get one client and make my money back, I'll be happy. And now like we have like multiple phones and we get like relatively a lot of clients, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you also, it's not like a formal business, but you also do like personal training and for like local athletes.
Yeah. I know eventually like I want to kind of be like a personal trainer, whether that be like my main job after football or just like a side thing. I know I love like the sports science, like not that I studied it, but I just love like the science behind it. I love the nutrition. I love the training on field and off the field. So I know like being able to train kids or just like people in general, like not just football related, is something that like I'm super into. So like being able to coach kids with like private sessions, has been a great way for me to learn how to do it and how to talk to kids or even like teenagers and things like that. So I think it's a good skill to have. And then like obviously I tried like being like a virtual private trainer where like I set programs for people, and that was just like a way of introducing myself into like the personal training world, and which I think eventually I would want to get into, but we'll see, bro. I think it's I just like to try those things, and if I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy coaching and doing private sessions, so it's something I never thought I would enjoy until I started doing it. So
awesome. Yeah, we're getting close to most of the things I had to ask about you. Can we talk more about your mom?
yeah, we could talk about my mom. So she passed away from lung cancer when I was 10. She had like back leg problems for a while, and then one day like it was like just too painful, and she went to the hospital, and she was there for like 2 weeks, and then out of nowhere like she just calls and she says she has stage 4 lung cancer. Bro, I was 10 years old. I don't know what the fuck that means. To me, I'm like, my mom's just gonna get better, but you don't know anything at that age, which kind of like it's kind of was better. I think it was better that I was so naive that I thought like she was gonna be fine, because I didn't see, like I was like, yeah, like once you get better, like I'll be going to high school and you could drive me to school, like you could retire. So in that sense it was better, because like I was still like happy and being a kid. Like if I was like, my brother was like, he was 15 at the time, so I think it's a little bit more of a difficult age because you kind of understand more. But I had no idea, bro. I just knew my mom had cancer and I thought she was gonna be fine, but she wasn't, obviously. But
Yeah, I never knew that. I wasn't sure how old you were.
yeah. But obviously my brother started his fundraiser, so like a lot of positive impact he's turned onto it, which I'm proud of him for, because he's raised like over $200,000, which is crazy.
Yeah, can you talk more about that?
Yeah, so when my mom was sick, my brother wanted to make like an event to raise money and just to get her to go somewhere and be out and just like to try and put a smile on her face. That was his main goal of starting like a fundraiser. And at 15, like he had no idea what he was doing. But then my mom passed away, and he promised her he would still do it. So we started with the bowl-a-thon. So it's like a bowling fundraiser, and it was actually like for the first everything as a 15-year-old making a fundraiser. It was good, bro.
Yeah.
And he really enjoyed doing it. So he slowly continued every year. He made an annual thing. And then he started doing a gala. Then he started doing like. He diverted away from raising money for cancer specifically to raising money with Make-A-Wish for kids and making wishes come true, which is crazy. Like, it's just, when I'm there, I always get goosebumps, because it's crazy, like, how much it means to the family to be able to go, like, to Disneyland or go to Thailand to fucking visit elephants. And it means so much to the kids. And like, on Christmas, my brother dresses up and he pretends he's Santa Claus and gives them gifts. He's in touch with every family that he's had, like would Make-A-Wish. He's still like in touch with their family and
That's
gets
awesome.
like, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. Like he takes time out of his time and out of his busy days to do that. Like kudos to him, bro. It's unreal.
Yeah,
So he's put a positive spin on something that's fucking sad.
that is awesome. When is it? Same time every year?
So like last year was the last ever bowl-a-thon. I think he did 10. So now he was raising money for like the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of Canada thing, because they had named him like a potential visionary of the year. So he had like a goal to raise like $50,000 in 8 weeks. So he was doing like he did like an event at a nightclub. He did like a Pilates event. He did like a bake sale. He did like a yoga and ice bath event. He was doing like all these little events to try and raise money for tried to reach that goal of $50,000, and I think he was named like a rising star or visionary for the society, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. And what's the like name of the
It's strikeout cancer.
strikeout cancer?
Yeah,
Awesome.
because of bowling. Strikeout, strike.
I got it. I'm trying to think. I mean, we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did. I didn't think we were gonna go for this long, bro.
Yeah,
And honestly, passed fucking fast.
it's not. It's almost 10.
That's wild, bro.
10 at night. We got a late start though.
Yeah.
We said what? We said 6, and we started at like 7:30.
Yeah, because look at this. We had to set up this beautiful setup, bro.
Hopefully the lighting looks like okay with the
Night.
like, yeah.
They're gonna see like the shift and
Yeah.
it getting a little bit darker.
I
It's
really
fine.
wanted to do. It'd be cool to do it outside.
One day.
Yeah.
When you have me on as a guest.
Yeah. Probably won't happen. But, yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about? We could talk about the one thing. Got the Syracuse goal. Talk about that. I don't know. Anything else?
The Syracuse goal was a good moment, but bro, like,
It was awesome.
it was fucking unreal. Because the whole year was kind of a shitty year for me.
Yeah.
Then like to end on such like a fucking high of the UCLA, Syracuse, SMU, it kind of like I kind of forgot how bad of like I didn't have a terrible year, but like how like kind of pissed off I was at the season that I was having, and like made me feel like I had like a good year. It's crazy how like 3 games could change that.
Yeah.
Like football's like that. Like you fucking 20 games where like, bro, there was like 8 games in a row where I just came on for 15 minutes and I was fucking pissed. I'm like, bro, how am I only playing 15 minutes? Like I know I could play more than this. Like Quinnipiac, I played 15 minutes in that game.
You were in training group.
I was in training group the whole year, bro.
That's crazy.
UNH, I played 8 minutes. Bro, I was like, what's happening, bro? How the fuck, like,
Yeah.
like the year, like, bro, I was like, it was such like a hard, difficult time for me. And then 3 games, I start 2 games out of those 3, and like I'm going into the end of the season fucking happy.
Yeah.
It was like that. Football's like that.
Well, you came in as a freshman and you were instantly like.
Yeah, I was instantly a starter.
main player.
And then my sophomore year, I was captain, starting, and then I got a stress fracture, so I missed like the end of the season.
This was sophomore year.
Yeah,
You had a
stress fracture,
on what, your foot?
my tibia.
Oh wow.
So like I had
Oh,
shin
I didn't know
splints, and then I kept playing 90s, and then I fucking had a stress fracture. So then I had to pull myself out. So that's why I didn't play like in the Villanova game.
Oh yeah.
But bro, anyways, bro, life in football is like that, bro. It changes so fast, and like then your perception changes of it so quickly because you end on such a positive note that you're like, fuck, that's such a great year, and then you look back on it, bro, I'm like, fuck, it's not the year I wanted.
Yeah.
But the ending was so nice. But it was, besides like me not playing, like it was a fucking great year. That year.
That 2020.
It was a memorable year, yeah.
That yeah. I mean, it was a historic year. Yeah, there was a lot of cool moments. Yeah, is there anything else you want to cover?
No, bro, for your first time hosting a podcast, you've done very well.
Thank you.
Extremely well.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that was honestly super fun.
It was good, bro.
Good. Made it a couple hours, so yeah. Danny Pacella,
Tucker, love you, brother.
love you. That was awesome.
That was fucking nice.